and welcome to another episode of People con dos grandes razones, people with pizzazz kind of a version. So, yes, this is Betty Rebolledo, and I hope you enjoy our podcast in which we talk about things that are extremely uncomfortable for some people to do. So, topics that are trending, and yes, whatever the fuck they're saying in LinkedIn or in social media, we like to take it, rip it apart, make people uncomfortable, but also make people realize that there's experience and that there's things that they can use and apply, and if not, at least laugh about it, because yes, we all have been through them. So yeah, don't forget to follow me in social media, in Spotify or YouTube, and click on the fucking little uh, belly thing in order for it to remind you of every episode that comes out on Thursdays. Or follow me through Instagram and People con dos grandes razones, people with pizzazz. And this is our global edition. So buckle up, people. It's gonna get pretty cool today. So what's the topic for today? Maybe I got a little bit sentimental or did a lot of introspection, but we, as humans, we love advice. Um, as long as it comes from the right people in the right format and makes us feel good about it, right? And makes us feel good about the decisions that we're already making or are about to make. However, today I'm gonna do completely the fucking opposite. So I've seen a lot of shit. Like I've seen, I've seen reels and I've seen videos and interviews, and I've talked to people and TED Talks and all that shit. And throughout the time that I have seen them, there's a few that have really resonated on me. Maybe it's the age, maybe it's the moment I was going through that I heard them, but I put together a few of them from the weirdest places you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. And what I'm trying to do here is put them together in a way that um, helps us through moments in which, instead of using it as inspirational garbage, trying to actually look at what they mean and how sometimes the problem is not that we don't know what to do at a certain moment in time. It's more like it's what we've built a very nice, very convincing, very eloquent stories, and that's what helps us avoid doing what we know it's the right thing to do. But it's hard, it's difficult, it's scary, and we don't move about it. So I don't want to sound like my grandma, but I do believe that a lot of what we're gonna talk about here, hopefully, it resonates to you. Maybe not all of the things I'm gonna say, but some of them do resonate and actually help you at some point. As long as you can keep at least a quote or something that I said, it's kind of cool. And if you think it's absolutely completely garbage, that's cool too. Send it to people you really hate. They will enjoy it, I'm sure. But let's see. Let's see if you enjoy this just as much as I hope I do doing my soliloquy here. Okay, so let's start with this. We've completely misunderstood confidence, the word itself. Confidence is not built by standing in front of a mirror and repeating, I am disciplined, I'm strong, I'm consistent. It's like trying to hypnotize yourself. Obviously, you do need to tell it to yourself to believe it, you know, but words don't transform things. Real confidence comes from one thing, and it's evidence. It's the irrefutable proof that you are who you say you are. Because saying things, saying that you are disciplined, that you are trustworthy, that you are consistent, that you are strong, it's great. But that's just branding. That's just, trying to sell something really beautiful, really great, but there's no proof. There's no proof that you actually are who you say you are. And you know deep down that it's true, that or that this is not true. So you don't lack confidence. It's not that you're missing that out. It's you lack proof. Confidence is built in a very fucking boring way. You have to do the thing, you have to repeat the thing, and you show up when you don't feel like it. You just have to be doing it constantly and create this trust and this proof that you can. I remember telling my son that he when he comes to visit me, and I like to exercise a lot, and he doesn't. So I'm always on his case. And he tells me, after being here for a while, he's like, "Oh yeah, mom, I promise you, when I go back, I'm gonna start, getting up early. I'm gonna make my bed, and I'm gonna start exercising because I need to, and I should." And I'm like, "Look, man, like you can say whatever the fuck you want, and when I call you in the morning and I ask you how's your day going, you can tell me, oh, great, mom, I went and I ran and I did and I baked the pan and I cleaned." You can say whatever the fuck you want. But if there's no proof, and in his case, what I'm telling him is, send me a picture of your bed made. And I can see it because I will see the date on the fucking picture. Or send me your running or your biking or whatever you did, because I'm sure in your phone you can have some app that actually tracks it. But it's proof. It's like being audited, because at and that's that's physical proof in that respect. But what I'm talking about in this kinds of behaviors, it's actually proven. If you What I tell him is, my son is, discipline is not something. It's easy to say, but when you show your face, when you say you're disciplined, you have evidence when you've been consistent for months. That shows discipline. When you don't say I'm reliable. It's when people already trust you because you have shown up. That's what makes you reliable. um so at the end of the day, eventually, you don't need to convince yourself anymore that you are or you're not. Your actions shows it. And I know it sounds a little bit weird here, but it's like when you say to someone that you love them. You can say as much as you want every day, every morning, every night. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yes, but if you don't prove it, if you don't show it with actions, with gestures, with details, etc., it means nothing, and it loses its value. It loses its significance really quickly. So it's the same shit. So remember, it's not that you lack the confidence; it's that you lack the proof. So go and get that evidence and show it up. Okay, so if confidence comes from proof, then what are you even measuring? And I ask this because I think we've also messed up what winning means. Most people think that beating others is winning, and that's the only way you can end up winning. No, what while it actually, well, I don't think it does. And let me tell you the story. I was in a conference, and this Irish guy was telling us about, was a coach, and he had been coaching um, kids for track and field. So there was this girl he was coaching, and so they did the race, and she came lost. And so she went to him saying, "Oh, coach, I've lost." He's like, "No, you didn't." He's like, "Yeah, I did. I was the eighth of eight. I lost." Like, "No, you didn't. I got you. I had you for 19 seconds when your personal best is 21, and you did it in 18 seconds. You won." See, when you do that, um, it changed completely the meaning and significance of winning. At the end of the day, in her next race, the 17.9 would be a win. Doesn't matter if she was number 8 of 8, 7 of 8, 6 of 8, doesn't matter. She did her best. She improved from her past um, behavior, from her past results. But now let's flip this a little, because what would have happened, if she kept on going like this? She would obviously be improving constantly. But let's say that she finally beats the girls, right? And she comes in first place, but she did it in 23 seconds. How would she feel about that? I think that that's not winning. That's just being surrounded by people doing worse. And that's when this quote of, "When you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room," becomes quite significant. It's not bad to be in a room where you can teach, when you can mentor others. But if this is your constant environment, then it's very difficult for you to improve, right? Because in order to win, in order to improve, you need to be put in a situation that challenges you. And you don't go into hard situations in life to beat others. When you go in there, you you're challenged. And that's how you improve. Without the challenges, it's hard to get out of that comfort zone and become better. If your definition of winning depends on others, your standard is out of your control. So when you're challenged and you look for that, and you become and you improve, um, the, the 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 example I like to use is, you can't climb a mountain, because being that a challenge, you can't climb a mountain by walking around it. You can't climb a mountain by asking somebody for a ladder. You have to fucking climb the fucking mountain. And that's the only way to do it. It will be hard, it will be painful, it will take long, but that's the only way to win, to get to the top. It's by challenging yourself. So real winning is very simple. Is, are you better than you were yesterday? And that's basically it. Have you improved in that way? We've defined winning properly, or at least the way I think it should be defined. So the next question is, what do you actually control? Because we tend to be obsessed with the outcomes. So when people go into different situations, what we tend to ask, and it's very well intended, but that's what we tend to do, is we ask about, how did it go? Did they like it? Did it work? Did it succeed? It's always like the outcome. We need to know the outcome, and the problem is the outcome is fucking messy. It depends on timing, it depends on context, it depends on the people, it depends on temperature, it depends on the mood, it depends on many, many, many things. And the only thing we can control is our effort. So let's say I finish my podcast and I go with my husband, and he will most likely ask me, how did it go? So at the podcast, and it did happen to me. This is the second time I'm recording this fucking shit because I did it before and the stupid volume fucked up. So my response, how did it go? And it's a well intended question, but I gave my everything. I gave my 100%. I did a fucking good job the first time. Actually, pissing me off to have to do it a second time, but I did my best. I put my 100% into it, and and it's frustrating, but no, I heard. So where did I came up with this one? I went um I'm a psychologist, and a long time ago I dealt with with drug addicts and people with addictions, and I was listening to this guy who was talking about it, and he was saying that um, he gave his best, he gave all his effort, um, but it even if he did, when he gave his 100%, if you showed up fully, that result does not define the day. So today, I fucked up. It didn't define my day, but I did. I gave my 100%. That was the important part. So one thing that he mentioned, which I think is extremely what impacted me, was he used to give his 100% to his addiction. So think about that. Those are they're quite strong words, but the discipline, the focus, the obsession he had, it was all there. You know, just pointed, unfortunately, to the wrong direction. But he would do anything and everything in his power to get that fixed that day. He would steal, he would lie, he would go wherever he had to go because he had to give it his all just to get that fix. If we would redirection all this effort, all this passion, all this obsession to positive things, imagine the results. He's clean now, and he has learned to refocus all of that into being a better father, a better brother, a better person in life. And it's the same effort, just in a different direction. And believe me, it's completely different life that he has now. So it's not that you lack discipline, is we're just applying it to the wrong things. And current examples are, this current obsession and addiction to social media, to our phones. How many of you wake up and the first thing you do is pick up the phone? And when you go to bed, the last thing you do is leave the phone. And you get up with your phone, you go to the bathroom, and if it was a fucking internet cafe, you sit there for 40 minutes going through media. And then you leave. If you leave your phone behind, have you ever felt that anxiety building on you? So imagine the effort you put into that activity, into that addiction, if you could put it and target it to something else. I think it's marvelous what we could be doing if we actually refocus that energy. So remember, it's not lack of discipline, is applying it to the wrong things. Now, even when you do show up, sometimes not always work out. And I've heard something which I think is quite dramatic, but because when things don't work out, people tend to say that was a waste of time. No, it wasn't. it wasn't a waste of fucking time. You chose it. You stayed. You experienced it. What you actually want to say really is, I don't like how it turned out. But think about it. When you started it, you had a purpose. You wanted it. You needed it. Whatever it was, and you stuck to it, and you did it. And then at this moment in time, things have changed in your, in your life, in your moment in life, and that's fine. But that was not a waste. You know, if I saw this reel, and this is where this is coming from. I saw this reel, and this guy was saying that, I learned how to code, and now I don't even use it. I don't use it. So that was a fucking waste of time. No, it was not a fucking waste of time. You learned to code. People go to Italy for 2 years, or they decided to start studying Italian, and it's been 2 years, and they're like, and now they're sending me to Brazil, Portuguese. Oh, that was a fucking waste of time learning Italian. No, it was not a waste of time learning Italian. You know Italian. It's not a waste. And when we have become obsessed with labeling anything that doesn't give us an exact outcome that we wanted, we call it a waste. So if the wrong career path, that was a fucking waste of time. If it was the wrong relationship, that was a fucking waste of time. If it was the wrong decision, no, that was a what, but fucking waste of time. As if the only thing that counts is the final result. And that's such a very that's such a narrow way of looking at things. And it's not a waste. There are people who have built successful companies, make money, hit all the right milestones. They reached their 40s, and they're saying, a waste of time, I didn't build a family. Then you have the opposite. You have people who lived fully, and they prioritized family, and they traveled, and they made questionable financial decisions probably, and wake up in debt thinking, what a fucking waste of time, I didn't make money in order to not be in this situation. And people are rewriting their past based on what they value today. Whatever we did, and whatever decisions and priorities we had in the past, and we focused on them, and we didn't, and we stuck to them, that was not a waste of time. It becomes only a waste of time if we do not extract anything from it, or if we actually just sit down and see life go by and do nothing for it. So that job, you learn probably not to tolerate certain things anymore. That relationship that you left, you learn probably your boundaries and what to accept and not to accept from others. You lived, you chose, you experienced something fully. And now you want something different. And that's fair. You are absolutely right to want something. That's not failure. That's evolving. That's moving forward. But let's be clear, it becomes a waste when you already know and you still stay. That's when it becomes a waste. So when we decide to stay, and we knew that it was, uh, a waste, that's where it gets a little uncomfortable. Because sometimes it's not that the things didn't work, is that we stayed way longer than we should. And we justified it by calling it loyalty. Loyalty has been romanticized into endurance, into aguanta más cabrona, pechuga, stay, push through. But staying when your common sense has already left, that's not loyalty. That's fear and stupidity. When people come to me, no, it's not, no, let me rephrase that. when I'm stuck in that situation, when I my common sense is telling me, what the fuck are you still doing here, woman? What I tend to do is to ask myself, if a friend of mine came over and told me their situation, i.e., what I'm living, and they would tell me how they feel, what they're going through, how's it been, how's long, they're not moving, they're not doing, what would I tell them? And most likely, I would tell them, what the fuck are you doing there? For fuck's sake, you're smarter than that. You should leave, you should do and I know it. But I keep on telling myself, no, they helped me out when I needed it the most. They're the ones that offered me this. Blah, 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 blah. You're always finding some way of justifying it. And most of the time is this, I loyalty. Fuck that. You know, um, you would never allow your best friend to stay there. Then why should you? So why do people stay? It's because when they finally think, I should be leaving, that requires movement. And movement requires uncertainty. And as human beings, one of the hardest things to deal with, one of the hardest feelings and emotions is uncertainty. When we have somebody ill in the hospital and we don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to die, if they're not, if they're going to make it through, if the medication will work, or if it's not, that uncertainty kills us. We rather know, if it's a yay or an A, yes, the medication, the treatment, it's gonna work, it's working, we can see the improvement coming, or no. Or when you're a candidate in a process for a position, it's not getting the no that hurts. It's not knowing because they don't call you back because they say they will and they don't. That's what kills. When you don't know, when somebody goes missing, or you can't get hold of someone you love, it's that uncertainty that is killing. Is so when you want to move on in your decisions, and you don't know what's going to happen, that's what keeps you, stuck. um, so we start overthinking because we're fucking good at that shit, aren't we? We wait. We want to wait for clarity. And we try to figure everything out before taking any next step. But here's the reality: we're not stuck because we made a wrong turn. We're stuck because we stopped moving. And here is where I got this advice from, or I saw it and I thought it was pretty cool. I got it from my GPS. When I'm driving and I miss a turn, or I take the wrong turn, the GPS does not say, "Oh, you fucking moron, like move to the side, we're not going anywhere, you're stupid." No, it says recalculating. And it's going to take me a little bit longer. It's going to give me probably more stoplights or more speed bumps, but I'm going to get there. It just recalculates it. And it does it because the car is moving. And that's what it is. It's, when trouble comes along, when you miss that turn, when you fucked up and went the other way, it recalculates it. You have to recalculate it, because a parked car goes fucking nowhere. So if you want to move, if you want to change, you need to recalculate, and it'll just take a little bit longer, but you will get there. When people try to move, something seems to be keeping them back. And what I think it is, it's the past. Let me tell you about this advice, where I got it from. Most people know the movie Finding Nemo, Dory. If you had to choose someone to solve a serious problem, Dory is not likely the one that would come to mind, because She has zero memory, zero analysis, zero strategy. She suffers from short-term memory loss. But she's the one that actually gets things done. Yep. Think about it. Um, she forgets everything, right? But until you realize that she walks into every situation without baggage, no past failures, no overthinking, no last time went wrong, I won't try it again. She goes in with a clean slate, no, ready to act. What's in, what's there. Meanwhile, the rest of us, we we go in thinking, so what didn't work? You know, who hurt me last time? Um, what went wrong in the last projects we did? And you bring all that baggage into every freaking decision you want to make. Um, there's this scene in the movie in Finding Nemo in which Dory and Nemo's father are inside a whale. And according to Dory, she can talk whale. So they're trying to get out, obviously through the mouth. And all of a sudden the whale goes like that, goes up, and therefore by gravity they fall. And they're and Nemo's father is holding on with a I fucking don't know the name of that, dangly thing we have in the back of our throats. So he's holding from it and holding Dory and telling her, like, come on, don't let go, don't let go. We have to, we have to go, get out of here, go up. And she starts talking to them to the whale, and she says, the whale says that we have to let go. And he's like, are you insane? Like, no, we have to get out. Going in there, like, he's gonna eat us. Of course you want to go in there because he's gonna eat us. And so he's like, there's no guarantees, there's no certainty, but it worked. It worked. And not because she's lucky, but because she's not paralyzed by everything that could possibly go wrong. And although it didn't make sense, she let go and trusted. And obviously, if those who haven't seen it, let me tell you, they do get spit out through the spout or whatever you call that thing in the top, and they got out of the whale. So don't get me wrong. There is a difference between learning from the past and living in it. One of them will move you forward. The other one will keep you stuck, just with better explanations of why you can move forward. So you don't need to forget everything. Definitely learn from it. But you just need to stop letting it run the show. Another thing that is really interesting, and I also saw it in a cartoon movie, is in the movie Luca. For those that haven't seen it, Luca and his friend have put together a bicycle, and they want to test it by going down a hill and then putting a ramp that is off a cliff, and they fall into the ocean. And his friend is totally into it. He's like, yeah, ready to go. Come on, let's go. Get on it, Luca. And Luca looks at it, the situation, and he's like, what the fuck? No way. Like, no way. No, 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 no. It's too dangerous. And his friend says, Silenzio, Bruno. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, it's Bruno's in here. Silenzio, Bruno. And it's such a wonderful example of what we suffer when we want to make decisions, or we want to move forward, because our brain is a fucking bitch. It's our worst fucking enemy. When we think about that past, our brains not only reminds us of the moment, but we also feel what we felt there: frustration, anger, irritation, frustration, sadness. And we relive it over and over and over. And you want to just shout, like, silencio, Bruno, shut the fuck up, brain. You just want to turn it off. But our brain is also our best ally if we show them who the fuck is the boss. And we have to tell it to shut up and, move away from those thoughts and rethink again. Learn from it, but don't get stuck in them. And how many times do we just love to go back and feel sorry for ourselves for whatever happened with a relationship, with a job, with a why didn't we should have had, and we relive it and over and over and over again. So silencio, Bruno. It's one of the most insightful lessons I've had, um, in looking at animated movies, because they're always full of a lot of messages. But this one in particular, I think, makes a lot of sense. Just like Dory, of knowing what to bring to the table, away with all this baggage, but at the same time making sure that you tell your brain, how to let go to be able to move forward. Because as long as you keep on, you know, holding on to that and going back to it, is exactly what we've talked here, is that past that we live in, instead of learning from it and moving forward. If there's one thing all of these things have in common, is that most people are not stuck because they don't have information. I think they're stuck because there's the stories that they keep repeating. For example, I'm being loyal and that's why I'm stuck here in this fucking shithole. Or I'm winning when in reality they are surrounded by mediocrity. Or I'm wasting time. It was a waste of time when they have accomplished and learned so much in their trajectory. Or I'm behind, or I'm not ready, or whatever it may be. Maybe none of that is true. Maybe all it takes, is to look at it in a different light, and then actually do something about it. Because all of this that I have said today might have given you an moment, or a makes sense, or it's very interesting, or I like that quote. But if you don't do anything to change in order to help yourself, then this was just a very nice podcast that was launched on a Thursday. So I do hope something helped and you got entertained, and do something about it. So I'll see you next Thursday, and I hope you have a great week. Ciao. Bye.
Si te gustó el episodio, compártelo por WhatsApp o al link Pipo con 2 grandes razones, y así lograr que más gente se entere del contenido. Suscríbete en Spotify y activa las notificaciones, o en YouTube dale a la campanita para enterarte de todos los episodios de estreno y dale una calificación de 5 estrellas para que más gente pueda encontrarlo. Sígueme en Instagram, Pipo con 2 grandes razones, y platícame qué temas te gustaría escuchar.